Yes, I have had my eye on one of these overpriced death trap two-stroke street bikes for a long time, but finally scored a decent deal on a runner rider 1974 H1 Mach III, and I'm pretty stoked. Well, it ain't perfect, smokes like a banshee, leaks oil all over the garage, vibrates more than you would expect a motorcycle to. And in this video, we're gonna do just a little ditty, walk around tour, talk about it, go ride it, enjoy it. It's a gloomy day, but 70 degrees out, November, unbelievable. So the H1 came out in 1969, and they were known for being a dangerous motorcycle, actually dubbed the Widowmaker, as you guys may have heard. I think that was mostly the earlier ones. You had drum front brakes, the power band would just come out of nowhere, pop the front wheel up. And then in 1972, they came out with the H2 750. They were like, that's a good idea. Let's just throw 750 in there. Now, that's actually what this is. This has got an H2 motor in an H1 frame. I think the H2 frame was a little beefier, had some more gussets, but I don't plan on wheeling this and slamming it down, so hopefully it'll be okay. Let's just give you a quick spin around tour. This seems to be original paint as far as I can tell. I don't think it's ever been reshot. Maybe the side cover, I don't know. I'm no professional. We do have one ding in the tank right there. She's by no means perfect. And the brief backstory on this one is it sat for, I think, like 10 or 15 years. And the guy I got it from, he pulled it out of there, cleaned the tank, cleaned the carburetors, drained the oil from the bottom of the crankcase. Apparently when these sit, he was saying, because this has an oil pump system for lubrication, but oil gets down there and then you got to drain it. You can see just after sitting overnight, I mean, that's a lot of, okay, actually that's gas. I thought that was just oil. That's because I left the gas on. Oops. Continuing the brief tour, we've got the factory steering stabilizer, same one I got on the KZ1000 over there. Kickstart only, of course, when bikes were real bikes. I don't like that the factory air box is gone. It's got the pods on there, but what I don't like even more is that it has these ones that don't even fit. So I'll have to get some better fitting pods on order. This is our oil tank. A little scrape back here. I like that the cowl on the back is actually steel on these too. On every other bike after these, it's all plastic. You know, even the KZ1000 is plastic. You can see it's got the dealership sticker on here. Alexandria, Minnesota. Maybe it says like KSP at RTS or something. I don't know. We got some pretty decent Bridgestone tires, progressive rear shocks on it. No factory exhaust, not a fan of that. It's got these factory pipes on it. They are obnoxiously loud. And in fact, I was riding it last night for a brief ride and went to lay on it. And of course, this one, the welds broke on the bottom and then got even louder. So I'll have to address that real quick. Chain's in nice shape. And maybe tighten her up a scotch. The seat is in nice shape, but does have a tear starting on the side. So maybe get some sealer on that. Another rust spot over here. To pop the seat, I got the little latch right there. Let's see if this key might work for that. Want to lock our helmet or anything? Yeah, look at that. All right. We are in business. Oh, underneath we have a seat lock to prevent the wind from blowing it over. You do have two helmet hooks for locking your helmets up. Here's the oil fill. Check it out, factory. They come with some spare spark plugs in case you're sitting in the traffic, you know, get them all fouled out. And something that just popped into my head right now, motorcyclists get this reputation for revving their bikes all the time and at traffic lights and such. And like, yeah, there's no purpose at all for that. I mean, maybe you're just trying to get comfortable with the throttle so you don't stall it when you're taking off. That's fine. But on two strokes, you should be blipping the throttle and keeping it from fouling out. So maybe that's like where that came from. I don't know, from back in the day. The mirrors, not a big fan. I'll have to get some round chrome ones, more appropriate for the year. Missing the center stand, because I guess since it has the chambers on here, that would be in the way. And this one's dented in pretty good. And I don't know if the side stand's the proper one or not, or something's bent, but it leans over really hard if I don't have a block there. And really the only thing we got to do before going for a ride is fix that. I did double check all the fluids, brake fluid, gear case, and the 2-stroke oil in this tank all up to level. It's like, wait a second, you're telling me it's not fuel efficient, you have to put oil in it too. It's not even fast by today's standards. Vibrates really bad, not gonna do any kind of serious trip on this bike. It's overpriced, the parts are overpriced, very hard to come by too. And I might die on it? Yeah, take my money. I need to have one of those in my life. That is really, really thin metal. You can see why it pulled through. I guess somebody hit the pipe though, it's a little bent. And it's super oily. Well, that came out amazing, especially considering I ran out of gas, so it's all porous, but I was able to fill everything in, all those voids going at a low amperage. And yeah, I know it's butchered, and I actually didn't get on the inside very much. Maybe get that with the MIG welder, but hey, the TIG's great. I've never really used it much. I did some practice ones the other day on here, and definitely the thicker metal is better. You can see the gas was off right there too, but when it's on, I don't know how well you can see that on this camera. Anyway, definitely need a lot more practice, but that ain't going nowhere. I was able to use some thin wire on the MIG gun and build it up on the inside. Shot some paint, good as new. Got that big old dent anyway. This'll work. Yep, that creates a little bit of a problem. There we go. You should have heard how loud it was with that off. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's still obnoxiously loud, but these little mufflers do a pretty decent job keeping it down. You can see why this thing's all dented in, because that. Great design right there. That kickstand needs to be bent over a little bit. I mean, the mount seems to be tight, and I thought about, you know, sometimes you can put a washer in there and shim them. Anyway, sun just came out, so let's fire this thing up, go for a ride. Dang, this thing vibrates a lot. hot. Like down 3,000-4,000, it's all right, but when you hit the power band at 6K, like I don't know if this 750's got some crank issues or if that's just normal, but once the vibrate, like I had a camera on the back, it's just rattled right off. This thing it's already getting covered in oil. Look at this. Now he did say he had some premix in the tank because he wanted to make sure that the oiler system was working beforehand. The oil tank feeds oil into the bottom of each carburetor, so it like jets it in, and then it actually has a line going to each of the crank bearings. I think there's 3 sets of bearings in this, 6 bearings total. Yeah, it's not smoking that much, huh? I'd almost like to see more coming out. I mean, it is running down the pipes and I see it and smell it, but it's running a little lean on the oil, I'd say. So this is why motorcyclists rev at the red light, because you know, being the old 2-stroke, it's going to foul itself out or stall. But now that this thing's warmed up, getting some, sounds like crank bearing noise. Let me shut the door so you can hear better. Definitely getting plenty of oil. See, she's smoking good. But see, when the idle goes down low, now it's not doing it. I don't know if maybe that idle's just lower than it should be, because we're down at, well, it's showing 1,500, but anyway. There's the noise. Now, that could, I don't know these engines that well. That could be a lot of things. And you also see how much oil is coming out of this pipe, and that could mean that the right side crank seal's leaking, sucking crankcase oil in. More than likely the case. I mean, it's an old, worn out 750. Lord knows how many miles are on it. How does it compare to the KZ1000? Nah, the KZ is just such a better bike than this. I mean, this is neat and everything, but it's quite the wild machine. Very unrefined, especially now that they're, you know, what's this, 50 years old, and it rides that way. I'm sure when they were brand new, they were a little bit better. Speaking of 2-strokes, though, I got the Superjet out, and this is a wonderful Yamaha 701 motor. These things are amazing. Tons of power, just run so good, very tough. And for 2-strokes, you always wipe them down when they're hot. They get all that oil off of everything, including the pipes. Good to go. It's part of owning the 2-smoker. Yeah, the pipes come out perfectly new. I got this idling low again so you can hear that crank noise. sure it comes a lot louder on video, but shut this off. Yeah, I did loosen the banjo bolts on these oiling lines, and it doesn't seem that it's feeding oil down to the bearings. So it's good that he has premix in there. It does seem that the oiler's working though, because I loosened the ones that go to the bottom of the carburetor, a couple of those, and they're trickling oil. So I'm not sure what the deal is. Ah, two smokers, you gotta love them. Got some Amazon pod filters. They're not K&N, but the price was right, and 39mm. See how they fit. You know, anything's better than those droopy ones. And I was thinking about this kickstand. That really looks to be factory, and it's not bent at all. I'm starting to think it's lifted in the back. These progressive suspension shocks, I think they're jacking it up, because I was just looking up pictures, and they definitely sit a little bit lower from the factory. So we'll have to just get a longer kickstand, because I mean, it rides fine the way it is, and I'm a tall guy. Or I don't want to cut and weld that one because it's original, at least it looks to be. Let's see if these fit on here. Very good now. Oh, nice packaging. We got a little authentic sticker on there, whatever that is. And actually, these seem pretty good quality. Now they're 39mm, so I don't know, because these are a little bit bigger than 39. Ah, look at that. Much, much better. They stretch over with ease and still barely hitting that cover, but I mean, that looks just a whole lot better. I couldn't stand the way these little droopers looked. Still keep them though in the parts bin for whatever else. Sweet. Let's see what it looks like under this cover in regards to the oiling system. Should probably go look up some videos or do a little research before digging in, but figure while these pods are off, better access to the oil lines. Okay, so this cable coming out is for the tachometer, and that's a glance at the system. This is the oil in, the cable, which when we turn the throttle, yep, that opens it up. And then these three each go to the carburetor bowls. And then the other one, oh yeah, see, they all have oil in them, and this other goes over to the crank bearings. It's just one line and splits off. And that one doesn't have nothing in there. Look how they have these little lock washers bent over to keep them from backing out. I suppose the first smart thing to check would be that we have good oil flow coming from the tank. And yep, looks like we do. Nice flow out of there. Yeah, that's just got nothing. I'm sure some of you guys are thinking, well, you're running premix, the bearing should be getting oil no matter what. But on these, I believe from the factory, they have some kind of plastic shields that prevent that premix oil from getting there on the bearings, like your normal, you know, RM250 or whatever motocross bike. Take this pump off of here, and it's leaking a lot of oil instead of draining the whole tank. Let's see if I can't plug this. Oh yeah, that comes right out. And before I mess with that pump, I want to see if I can get oil into this line and if it feeds down into the bearings. So I took a little cap in my cap collection, cut a hole in the side of it, and cut a little hole in the side of this skinny hose. Let's see if we shoot some fogging oil down there, if it flows into the cylinders. Yeah, I see it flowing into all of them. I got this pump all broken down and did not find any problems. I'll show you real quick how it works, but look who showed up. The Goose Man. What are you doing? Found a good sniff on the driveway? Oh, is that a dead worm? Oh yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Go get it, boy. Go get it, Gus. Yeah, it's nice to take a break and play with you. You're just the best. Yeah. Who's that?
Get the ball.
You're kind of goofy, Gus.
Give me that ball.
Just briefly touching on this pump operation while it's apart. This is your inlet, your 4 outlets, and this little worm gear gets driven by the engine. To take this out, you just simply grab it and pull it right out. There's nothing, you know, there's the O-ring, that's the only thing really keeping it in, and the fact that it's sandwiched down. But this is spinning clockwise, and should have just got a rebuild kit while I was at it, all new O-rings. So that spins this little guy, and these are little slots cut on, you know, they have an angle to them, but I wouldn't really call this a pump. I think it's more of just an oil meter. Meters the oil as it spins and allows it to gravity flow into the engine from what I'm seeing. But anyway, this is where the throttle cable goes, and I didn't take that out, but I assume there's another O-ring there. And this is like a little eccentric cam. When you rev it up, it's a cammed shaft, and what that does is it rides right on these teeth and causes this to shift over just a little bit, and that's enough to, I guess, add flow more oil. These two link up with each other, you see, keyed, and so this little drum is spinning, allowing oil to come out of each of these ports. And then when you let off the throttle, this return spring pushes the whole thing back. Otherwise, you have your 2 end plates, and then this little brass bearing that goes inside right there. Drop that down in, and let's hope it lands the right way. It did not. Try that again. There we go. And that's for the worm gear. So I didn't find anything really wrong with this, why it wouldn't come out of one hole, but I did blow everything out, so I'll put it back together and see if now it operates. I mean, if it's coming out of one, it should be coming out of all, from what I'm seeing. So I don't know why it wasn't doing it before. It must have just been a little blockage in there or something, right in that drum. I don't know. Makes you think there should be a filter coming off this tank, because if any little grime comes into that hose, I mean, it's tight orifices in there. With it all back together, I fired the bike up and ran it full oiling. And I saw the blue oil start to go into that line, and I waited until it came all the way over here. You could see the little chug-a-lug-lug going back in. I was like, all right, sweet, we're working. And then I went to loosen this banjo to just see how much was shooting out, and of course nothing came out, because I realized you can't do that. Each of these ones going down to the bearings, they're under vacuum, since it's part of the intake track. You know, on the 2-stroke underneath the piston is part of the intake, so it's vacuum. A little bit of a rookie move with that, but of course the ones going to the bowl, you can loosen those and you should see it shooting a little bit of oil out. Really don't understand why it wasn't before, because I didn't find anything less. I don't know, my mistake. You guys will also notice, looking at here, I'm sure plenty of other problems you notice, but the brake pedal's up like way too high. I gotta either bring that down, or I think this peg is bent, because when you're riding, I mean, it's very easy to put that brake light on by mistake. Or I guess we could adjust the brake light switch. And of course, you know, there's no fuel hose clamps on here either, among many other things. But I just drained out the 2-stroke gas that was in there. Maybe had like a gallon or so, and I'm gonna top it off with some Freshie. Go take it for a ride. I don't know, see what it does. In case I wasn't detailed enough before, the reason you don't get oil out of this line when the bike's running is because the other 2 lines are still hooked up to the cylinders. They have vacuum, so when you crack this seal, it's gonna whoosh, suck the oil on the line back toward those. And you see I'm missing a chain cover bolt. I was just kind of looking this whole frame over for any hairline cracks or problems. I don't see anything obvious. wonder if those filters, I wonder if those air filters are bogging it down because of the material they are made of. I didn't even oil them, so they should be flowing fine. But they're a little bit smaller. Let's try taking them off. Oh man, I didn't even see that. What junk. They're totally restricted inside. Look at this garbage. No wonder. Yeah, no wonder it's bogging out. All right, so these gotta go. I mean, they looked better on there, but that's not much good. So no air filters, it is. Yeah, those were completely bogging it down. Here's a look at the difference on these filters. The ones that came off, not K&Ns, but definitely better quality. I mean, look at the opening difference. And I was thinking maybe we could just take a razor blade to it, but no, look. Because if you cut it with a razor blade, you would just destroy it. You'd have to cut this too. So they're just for show. I mean, some bikes, they might be fine, like for a go-kart, but yeah, these cheapies aren't gonna work. I mean, I'll have to see if they have some other options. Not gonna work for this though. Now that it's cooled down some, let's do a quick compression check. And man, I'm looking at the camera now, and you can really see the difference of this paint on the camera so much more. In person, it's not as noticeable. That's like some ASMR right there. And you get like a... And also this noise, you'll hear when I kick it over too. Like, I'm just assuming it's the crank, but it could be a lot of other things. We'll have to pull the side cover off and see, or maybe I'll just wait. Who knows? Some H1, H2 guys might comment and tell me exactly what the heck it is. I can say it wasn't there when I bought the bike, and I did ride it a fair bit. Doesn't seem to be doing it as much now that we got the oiler hooked up, but it's definitely still there. And it's like when you kickstart it, you can hear it. Plugs look completely fine. Not seeing any pre-ignition or detonation. I don't know if you guys heard in the video, but when I was accelerating really hard, there's like a little bit of a rattle, and that's a scary sound on a two-stroke. But yeah, we got this exhaust leak coming out of the header, and there's a bunch of loose kind of items on this exhaust, so I was thinking it might have been that. Yeah, 140 right there. Middle cylinder. A little bit less, that was 4 kicks, it got up to like 130. And same thing on the left cylinder, 130. So not too bad. Anything less than 100 would concern me. 120 and above, we're good. Good shape on this. I think that'll wrap this Mach 3 Diddy video up, because I gotta get started on this Le Mans for a main channel video. Trying to keep the motorcycle stuff to NNKH 2 because it just doesn't seem to be quite as popular as the cars. I try to keep the main channel 45-minute to hour-long videos and above. You know, did I get ripped off on this bike? I mean, I didn't tell you what I paid, but I didn't pay $1,000 and I didn't pay $2,000. Paid quite a bit more. Although these parts are worth a ton of money alone. Like this engine, I've seen engines with carbs on them sell for $5,000 on eBay. So it's pretty crazy. I'll make out okay on this bike either way, but it's certainly, we're gonna have to address those other problems, and I just don't have the time right now. For all I know, the vibration is completely normal. I've never ridden an H1 or H2. Oh, I wouldn't know, I don't know. I did get a spare muffler with the bike, which I put over on the air compressor, and it works like a darn charm. Check that out. You put it on the intake, and it actually quiets it down quite a bit. Okay, so take it off. How much louder? And I do try to read most of the comments. I know there was a few people that said that I should put this outside because it's kind of annoying in the videos, but I've contemplated that and doing an insulated box on the outside, but I think I don't want to annoy my neighbors. Right now, the way this garage is, it kind of keeps the noise inside, and you also end up getting a lot more moisture inside of the tank, and you deal with freezing. Back when I worked at the shop, I remember we didn't drain it all the time, and we had one fill up to here once. Like, I drained it, I couldn't believe how much water was in it. So that's one of the benefits to having it inside. It actually pulls moisture from the air and then releases it back, since we have the auto drain, which also goes into a muffler. Listen to that. So, because if you don't have a muffler on the auto drain, it is extremely loud. That's just like a timed 2-second release, or whatever that is, a half a second. So if you guys want to see more, let me know. Any feedback, any info, appreciate it very much. I'm actually looking for a minty H1. I've been checking a few others out to maybe scoop and put in the basement and just store it, because you guys know I like runner riders, and that's kind of what this would be. I mean, it's actually really, really nice for a 50-year-old motorcycle. I've seen some super whooped ones, even though I'm sure some of the purists watching are like, oh, that thing's all haggard up. They put the 750 in there, and it's got the lower bars, and you'll see I put the round mirrors on there. Just did that now. I appreciate you guys very much for tuning in, checking out the video. Hope to see you in another one soon. It'll probably be some other random adventure or piece of equipment, vehicle, whatever. I will see you there. And yeah, the Le Mans, that's probably coming out on the main channel next week. So see you guys. Thanks very much for tuning in. NNKH2, over out.